Cheers and welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Yes, I am very excited. Today we are building the 8-tap KOMOS Kegerator. I promise it's going to be beyond different from any other KOMOS Kegerator or Kegerator build you've ever seen. I'm going to try to cover every single little tiny detail. That's one. I'm going to measure everything, internal, external, everything, even with and without certain features added, just so you have that information if you need it. And I'm gonna show you how everything came, how I'm gonna customize it, where I made mistakes in the customizing and had to change, basically I had to step back and punt, yeah. So, and even with one of my current customizations, I have a backup plan to that. Gotta have a backup plan. Always have to have a backup plan. I guess being in IT helps. So don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. Definitely appreciate the sharing. I promise I'm gonna cover so much detail in here. I will bore some people who have no plans to ever buy a kegerator. I'm sorry. If you're just interested, great. If you're ever going to buy one, or if you have one now and you hate it and you want something better, I promise this video is for you. Or if you're considering buying something like this and wanna know all the little ins, outs, details, you just bought it and don't know how to put it together, yeah, keep watching this video. I'll make your life easier by hopefully making my life not quite as hard. So first of all, when you get it, well, it comes freight and you get this big box and there's your kegerator. Well, that's really just a fridge. You have a separate box, and in that box, you have all the parts. And what are all those parts? Well, you have the drip trays. So they're plastic, you can get metal. They're nice. It's gonna catch some water, not a big deal, or beer actually. You get this nice little metal ring. The problem with the metal ring that I got was it was bent a little, so I had to put a little bit of paper on it and force it to stay in place so that I didn't have it popping out constantly. It's minor, not a big deal. Not really sure why that ring's there. I guess so when you drink too much, you don't knock your bottles off or your pints or whatever else, I don't know. Not really sure. Then you get in that box, you have things like this to hold your regulator. Do you get a regulator with this? Yes, right here. Do you get this? No, your CO2, you're gonna have to buy the canister separate, and you can either swap it out with your local homebrew shop, or you can take it to wherever you can get your food grade CO2 filled. The other thing that's in that box, if you pick something like I picked NukaTap. You can get Intertap, but NukaTap is what I chose. I've had Intertaps, I like them, but I like the NukaTaps a little better. So yeah, I got NukaTaps, and I got 8 of them. I ordered the springs later. I didn't realize it, and I ordered them later, so I do have the springs. The springs are good and bad, and it's for another video. You get 4 little tap handles. I know, you're thinking 4, okay. Let me step back a little and show you what I mean. See if I can open it. I may have to go get somebody with more. There we go. When you open this, yes, your little tower, and you pull things out, and there's stuff I've already pulled out because I can't put it back in. You're gonna pull it out, you're gonna have this foam. Don't throw that foam away, you need that foam. Put that back in there. Don't lose the foam, you need the foam to help insulate things. So we're gonna put that cap back on and forget about that for a minute. So inside here, you're gonna get an air and a liquid. They're both 8mm. One is, I believe it's 4mm inside diameter, which is your liquid. And then the other one is 5 inside, I believe it's 5 inside diameter for your air. You also have some other goodies in there, and you have some goodies in here. So one of the goodies in here is you get a tool. For every tower, you get another tool. So you're gonna have lots of these tools, especially if you're like me and you already had 2. So now I have 4 of these things. And you get inside of here, you get 3 of these. They're little T connectors. So that's to help separate the gas and, you know, go from boom, 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 so that you can connect to everything. So we'll put that out of the way for now. So now you're getting it. You get 4 of these per tower. So I got 4 tap handles. You have your little Shanks, the connector. I'm debating right now between cleaning these or just running a cleaner through them. I think I'm gonna lean towards running a cleaner through them. It's stainless steel, they're very clean. I just wanna make sure I don't have any machining oil left in there. So I'll run some PBW and then I'll turn around and run some Star Sand through them. So I'm not too worried. You also get 4 Duotights. These Duotights are specifically for connecting to this way, and then hooking to your actual 8mm. I think that's 6.5 or something like that. So this goes on here, inside of here. The instructions for this are accurate, and I'll show you, not a big deal. You also get 4 little screws. Do not lose those, you need those. And you get an O-ring. I know you're starting to think, well, wait a minute, what's not correct in the instructions? Let me show you really quick, and we'll go over how we get around it. In the original tower, in the instructions, it shows a ring out here, and you put your 4 screws, and then you have a little cuff that comes down, and you're done. Super easy. So you can build this whole thing, put it on top of your kegerator, run the tubes in, screw it in, pop the piece down, you're done. Yeah, this is gonna be a little harder. It is cleaner, I do agree, it looks cleaner, but it's gonna be harder. You have to attach this to the kegerator, pull your foam out, do everything, get your screws down this 16-inch tube that are not magnetic. Yes, they're not magnetic. So I can get my finger down there, but I don't know if I could actually turn it or twist it or do anything else. Actually, I'm pretty sure I can't. My hand's too big. It's just, and I don't have big hands. My hands are pretty average, I think, for a guy. But yeah, I might be able to twist it. So I gotta get my finger in there, get all 4 of them started. Then I gotta lower down with a screwdriver and tighten it up. It's a very clean design. I like the design. Does it need to have magnetic screws that would connect to a magnet? It would make life so much easier, yes, but they're not. They will not stick to a magnet. So how am I gonna get around that? Well, stay tuned. We'll get into that. I got a special thing just for that. Oop, and you know what I forgot? I forgot what I just told you. Put the foam back. We're gonna need that. Now, what did I buy extra? Okay, before we jump into the kegerator, which is right now acting as a, well, it was acting as a fermenter. Now it's just keeping some kegs cold that I've been using my little low profile. Yeah, we'll go into that later. One thing that will make your life easier is a cutter. You can use a razor blade. I like this. It's convenient. It's cheap. I mean, I don't like wasting money, and technically I guess you could say it's a little bit of a waste, but for the convenience, this thing, just time saver, huge. I also bought colored tape. You may have seen this. I haven't done it, but I've seen a lot of other people do it. When you're hooking up everything and you're gonna split everything out, this is awesome. You can put colored tape on both ends of your tubing. So when you're reaching in and you're trying to figure out what tube, okay, well, where does this one go? Oh yeah, yeah. This is blue, blue, red, red, purple, purple, green, green, white. A little bit of cheap tape is gonna make your life so much easier. And I got 12 different colors here, and technically I only need 8. So I'm all good there. I bought Duotight disconnects. Figure if I'm gonna go Duotight for air, for liquid, I need the disconnects. I'm not gonna turn around and buy additional Duotights to screw in to the older plastic or the really nice stainless steel disconnects. I'm just gonna go 100% Duotight. Why not? Makes sense to me. So yeah, I bought 8 for both. And there's a lot of other things I bought and a lot of customization that I did. So let me show you that. So what additional customizations did I do? Well, first of all, when I ordered it, I turned around and ordered 5 of these. Yes, 5. And people were like, you have 8 kegs. Why do you need 5? You're gonna control, you know, you could think 8, you do 8 individual. You could do 4, you could do a pair. Yeah. Honestly, if you're putting everything at 12 PSI, I would get one of these to go between here and there. You don't really need it, you don't. But I like to have that secondary check. If this says it's at 12 and this is at 12, great. Well, I like to run this over here at 30. That's where I like to have it, and I'll explain. So I have 5 of these. Well, there's a problem with the Duotight inlines. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, just for the people who want to see, I have 5 of these. So one of the problems is that these bad boys go up to, I think it's 60 PSI, which is crazy. I don't need 60 PSI. And I know you're thinking, well, just crank it down to the exact 10 or 12. Okay, I'm getting old. My eyesight sucks. So trying to see 12 on here is a pain in the butt. So I have 2 things. One, I have 5. One is going to be my external CO2 for any time I need to purge something when I'm doing bottle filling off of a keg. Yeah, one is dedicated just to that. And I'm gonna change out the gauge for a 15 PSI gauge. This will only go up to 15 PSI. That's all I need. The nice thing about it is that instead of trying to read 0 to 60 in that same amount of space, I'm reading 0 to 15. So much easier to read. Just a lot easier. I don't care, even if you're young, if you're trying to look around a corner or something because it's not right up in your face, it just makes it easier to see, easier to read. So I have 4 of these so that I can change 5 of them to 15 PSI. I know you're like, okay, wait, you have 5 and you only have 4 of these. What are you doing? Yep. Well, I have another one that goes to 30 PSI. You may start thinking, a few of you out there are like, I know why he does that. So I can take 3 of the 4 that are gonna be going inside the kegerator. And 3 of them will have 0 to 15. I will probably keep most of them between 10 and 15 PSI based on, say, a Saison. I want it super carbonated at 15, to just a straight IPA between 10 and 12, a stout maybe at 8 or 10. Or if I'm trying to serve something like kombucha or wine or something else, maybe I want it at a different PSI, I don't know. I can swap it back, it's not a big deal. So let me set these down. This one I'm gonna set up to 30 PSI. I may keep it around 10 or 12 most of the time, but I like to have the ability to see it go up to 30 and easily read it. So I'm gonna put this one at up to 30 PSI. That's when I do quick carbonation. I'm gonna take a keg, I'm gonna put it at 30 PSI, I'm gonna leave it there for about 2 days, and then I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna drop it back down to maybe say 12. Well, if I have another keg, I can move it over to one of those, pop the next keg on here, crank it back up to 30, and just keep using this one, which will have 2. Yep, 2. How do I do that? Well, when it goes inside of the actual kegerator, I'll have a little T connector. So it'll break off and have 2 different hoses so that I can connect to 2 different kegs. So each one of these will have that. So if I have 4 running tubes into the kegerator and then I have a T connector on each of them, that's 8 total kegs. Pretty simple. I have a few other little customizations which I'll show you, but let me show you what I'm gonna put all this stuff on. I have a piece of plywood, which is what I thought about doing. I was gonna paint it black. Instead, I want it to be light because I'm gonna use magnets to hook this to the back of the kegerator. Yes, magnets. I don't know where I can put screw holes in this thing. That's something important to know if you're looking to buy one. I don't know. And there's a lot of stuff going on, so I don't want to damage anything. So magnets to me are very safe. Yeah. This is like stupid light. It's fiberboard. It's like compressed styrofoam, and it's hard, very, very hard. I have tested a piece with a screw and holding things in, because yes, I have screws, so I can screw these in. And yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem. This should work well. I'm gonna build this, or I'll lay it out, show you the layout, then I'll actually build it and show you the finished product. Then we'll do the magnets, which I'm gonna glue on, and we'll hook it up and see how it goes. Let's get building. Okay, so we're gonna build this. What's the first things you need to do? Well, first of all, you need to take a little plug out. What else do we need? Well, we're gonna need some cutters, we're gonna need some other tools. We'll set that aside for now, not a big deal. The biggest thing is we gotta get this attached to here. So we take the little plug out, no big deal, boom. We take the little rubber O-ring, we set it down and we put it over the little holes. And then we have the screws, which are these. Like I said, they're not magnetic. Oh, just being magnetic would have made my life so much easier, so much easier. So you're gonna wanna open this, and if you're using your hands, you definitely need to take this out. Don't throw it away, you're gonna need it. So we're gonna set this down on top of those holes. Hopefully not moving anything, because you need to make sure they're not covered. There we go, that looks pretty good. And I'm gonna use this other camera so you can see what's going on in here. I think that's a pretty good view. So you can see what's going on in there. Then I have, like I said, and I'll leave links for everything down below. So I put some tape on here because otherwise it just slid in and out of this stupid tool. This is the cool little tool, kind of cool. You put it like this on your screwdriver, go in a little bit, back off, take your screw, and your screw literally snaps in place. Like that. So it holds the screw. Pretty cool. Very inexpensive, and it's gonna make my life a lot easier so I won't get as frustrated. Sadly, I'm gonna have to move my head a little bit so I can see this. There we go.
3 hours later.
Okay, that feels like I got it. Ha! I got one. I got one of 4. I only need 4 more to go. This is why I said you're gonna wanna watch this. This is, I know you shouldn't have to buy a tool like this to put something together, and that's my wife. She's like, why would you have to buy a tool to put something together? That seems like a bad design. And I'm like, yeah. And it would be so much easier if these screws were, magnetic. So you may need to just go and take these screws to your Home Depot or Lowe's and buy yourself some that are magnetic. It might make your life a lot easier, I promise. So I'm gonna try to get the opposite one, and then we'll go from there. Okay, other trick, lift up the rubber, find the stupid hole. There we go, we're in the hole now. And I am scraping my hand along this edge of this metal. So it is a cool kegerator. I think it's gonna be a great kegerator. There's gonna be a design flaw, which is this, and the engineer, if I ever find him, I might have to beat him in the back of the head. Just a good swift, what the hell were you thinking? As he's chuckling and laughing at me, probably. Just saying. Okay, now we're gonna get the 4th that fell inside the kegerator. Got it. Okay, so we got all 4 started. Yes, started. I need to tighten them all. You can probably see in there now. Okay, I'm gonna get these 4 tightened up. Okay, as you can see, I jumped ahead a little. I'm gonna get this one finished so you can see what this one will look like, and then I'm gonna help show you as we build this one. So right here, you can see I have blue, yellow, green, orange. I got masking tape instead of the actual electrical tape. Electrical tape is a little bit better with the moisture. Yeah, masking tape's not. But it doesn't leave as much goo behind if I have to peel it off and put different tape. Plus, it was a lot cheaper. Over here, I've got brown, light blue, black, and red, which I'm gonna color code. And then at the end of the hose, I have that same color, and I have a Duotight Air disconnect. So it's gonna make life a lot easier. I have 4 of these total. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna take your hose is gonna be the 8mm, 4mm inside diameter. And you can look at it. If you're like me, you may need some magnifying glass, but I can actually kind of see it. And it's supposed to be about 6 feet. I'm only getting about 69 inches when I take it and cut it in 4. So I'm basically dividing this into 4. It's close enough. You're talking 3 inches. Come on. Really? Yeah. If she doesn't complain, it's fine. Yeah, I know a few people right now are snickering, but that's okay. I did that intentionally. I'm using this because it makes my life easy. The easiest way I found, also, you're gonna find that some of this is bent, and it's gonna be very, very, very hard to get it shoved all the way into this Duotight disconnect. So what you're gonna wanna do is put the tip, just the tip, into some really hot water. Yeah, I'm just busting out the puns. So soak it in there, get it nice and hot. Then you may wanna put it back inside the kegerator, let it get nice and cold so it's hard. Yeah, I know. You can take it as a third pun. You can just take it as that's what you need to do. But you get it nice and hard, and once it's nice and hard, you can, yes, I know, here we go again. You can shove it into the Duotight. And remember, there's a little marking on the Duotight disconnects. You gotta get it all the way in, not just the tip, all the way in. So you're talking a good, at least a solid ½ inch, maybe a little deeper. So, and if that's as far as you can go, that's as far as you can go. So, sorry, just having too much fun. So the first thing I do, knowing that I gotta cut this in 4, is I'm just gonna take it and divide it in half, which is the easiest thing to do. So once you take this and you spread it all out and you go, okay, there we go. Find your 2 ends. You should have 1 end on each end. And they are bent, and it is going to be bent. That's why you're going to wanna add it to the hot water if you need to. Go all the way to the opposite end. Keep going. Don't stop early. There you go. And boom, cut it in half. Then you can take that half, lay it wherever you want, drop it, I don't care. So we go to the other end. Make sure both ends are touching, come back, and there you go, there's your middle. And cut that one. Now, after you do this, what I had to do on the previous one is I had to trim it a little. Not a big deal. If you have to trim it, trim it. If you've not been trimmed, that's, you know, between you and whatever. So let's take this. Yeah, I'm throwing those puns. Keep going. Yep, keep pulling on your hose. I can't stop now. And trim. We now have 4 even lengths. So you take one of them, look at it, make sure it's about as even as possible. If it's not, you can trim it up a little bit. Make sure it's nice, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Take your little Duotight, your large opening is what's gonna go on here. The small opening is gonna actually go onto your actual shank. So we're gonna poke it on through, push it in. You should feel it shove all the way in. So it's all the way up in there. Then you're gonna take your tape. We're gonna go with light blue here. Simply peel off a little tape. Don't need a lot. These are not that big of a tube. And yes, I pulled way more than I need to, but that's okay. And that's it. Then take the other end, shove it, yeah, I know, here we go, through the hole, and just keep feeding it. The key I've learned is once you get it partially through the hole, you can reach in and pull it the rest of the way. It makes it a lot easier than sitting there trying to fight with it, and then shove that through that hole. Wash, rinse, and repeat 3 times with each color tape, and we'll resume. Okay, if you made it this far, boom. Yes, looks all pretty. Over here, I learned a lesson over here that I thought I was okay, but then I realized I wasn't. Yeah, gotta put this in before we finish all this. So we're gonna take these out, not a big deal. We know exactly where they are. We're gonna pull them up a little bit. Pull this one out, and pull this one out. And we're gonna pull them straight up a little bit. And there we go. Just enough that we can tuck the foam around them. You have these bad boys. You hold this, you spin the little nut. You take the nut and you take the plastic piece. There you go. Pull whichever one you're gonna work on out. So we're on brown. I recommend doing the bottom 2 first and then working your way up. It's just easier so that you can actually tighten it. It's just easier. Everybody likes easy, I think. We take the nut, put it down, put the plastic piece, hold on to that because if it falls to the bottom, it's gonna be a pain in the butt to get out. Shove this back through the hole, push it in nice and snug, really easy. That one shouldn't be that hard. Push your plastic back up, push your nut back up. This is the hard part, is getting this stupid thing, which having 2 people would make this a million times easier. So you're gonna spin this 90 degrees, bring it all up, get the foam out of your way. And once you get it in, all you have to do is get that nut started and your life is gonna be a lot easier. There you go. So knowing that that's the brown one, I'm gonna go back around to the front, pull the brown back down a little bit so I don't have so much tension on it. Okay, so I don't have any tension on that bad boy. I go back in here and spin that around. All I'm gonna do is hand tighten it until I feel it's good. Once I feel it's good, using this, you can use either end, but this is gonna be easier because it's smaller. The big one, not recommended. And all you're gonna do is just kind of put it on there and turn it a little bit. Easier said than done. And with the foam in your way, which is one of the reasons I didn't put the foam in right away, is because it was in my way. And you just keep doing this until you get it snug. It will take you some time to get all 4 of them. There we go. Because you're only gonna get like maybe a 15 to 30 degree turn each time. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Remember, it doesn't have to be stupid tight. It just has to be snug. Wash, rinse, and repeat 4 times. Going over to the red one here because we're gonna go to the small and then we're gonna work our way from the top side. Same thing, you're gonna pull this off, and you may ask, why am I doing it this way? Well, if you haven't purchased the system, you really probably would not understand, but I'm gonna show you. Okay, looking at this from the close camera, you'll see there's kind of like a weird slope. Yeah? So this goes on the outer curve of this, and this goes on the inner curve. So that's the key, inner curve, outer curve. So when I come around here, I take this, I push it in, pull it up, I drop the metal washer, then I drop this with the curve up, because that curve, whoops, there it is, curve up. One side is flat, one side is curved. I drop it down a little bit, don't let it fall. You'll hate yourself if you do, like I just almost did. Almost did it. There we go. Do not do that. Life will suck. Push it in. Pull this back. Do your 90-degree turn, which is an absolute pain in the butt by yourself. Push it all the way in. And once you have it in, like I said, just get that little nut started. It'll make your life so much easier once you get that started, because then it won't fall, and you can adjust anything you need to adjust. There, I've got it clamped. I'm going around there, and I'm gonna find red, and I'm gonna pull it back down. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, tighten this up, put the next two on, and then we'll go from there. Okay, as you can see, we're good, everything's in here, we're set. If you have a NukaTap and you decide to use the spring, make sure to pop the bottom off, put the small part of the spring on top of that, which means dropping the big part inside, setting it inside like this, go right to left. Boom, 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 boom. The reason is as you're tightening, this thing, this little tool will go this way. And when you go this way, if there's no tap in your way, you're gonna be able to turn it more. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. So we'll take this, put it in there, and we'll start it. Once you get it started, you can hand tighten it as much as possible. Once you're past hand tightening, then of course get your tool out. Cool thing with the tool is, like I said, take the small end, not the big end, put it in the little notch, and turn it. As you get closer to tightening, you're gonna wanna hold this so that it stays perpendicular or 90 degrees to the base down here. Okay, we're gonna hold it now and snug it up. Remember, you're not trying to be Hercules, just nice and snug. So this one's done. Put a custom tap handle on it, or one of the ones that came with it, make it look all nice and pretty. And here's what's cool. You can pull it, yeah, and it pops back because it has a spring. The reason I said the spring is good and bad, well, if you're trying to fill something with a tap cooler and you pull this, you gotta stand there and hold it. If you don't have the spring, you can pull it and let it go and it won't pop back. I think the spring is useful if you have guests. So when guests come over and they wanna, they go to walk away, they let go, boom. You're gonna get these people, if you don't have the spring, they're gonna pull it forward, take their beer away, and it's just gonna keep pouring and they're gonna go, oh, yeah. Boom, boom, it's nice, it's convenient. I did it because I figured it's just nice and convenient for anyone who wants to pour their own beer. I don't have to stand there and assist them, and I don't have to worry about them leaving it open. So, yeah, pros and cons there. So, other item we need to do, so we need to take this and know it's not a breathing tube. And we take one of these, and we're gonna have to cut it to size. But before I cut it to size, I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do. Okay, in here you can see there's a little tube there. Yeah, guess what? This piece goes into that and splits it. And then if you see over here, I have a tube. What that's gonna do is gonna feed cold air from that fan inside of those towers. It's gonna keep the beer that's in those EVA barrier tubes chilled, so you don't have a little bit of warm beer come out each time you pull the tap. So you're just gonna wanna simply shove this up inside of there as high as you can, and then you're gonna cut it to size and plug it in. That's it. Okay, so I finally got everything built, even changed my shirt. Yeah. I'm starting to have a problem that I took notice of two things overnight. Yes, I went to bed and got up the next day and continued on. One, there you go. Got a lot of moisture on top of the actual towers. I know what that is. That is the tubes coming up from the fans blowing the cold air. So I'm gonna have to get a little piece of foam for the top to keep that cold air in there and not causing the metal to sweat like it's doing right now. Number two, and some of you may have taken notice, I put these on the liquid line ends. Yeah, these are for air. Yeah, I swapped them out, it's all good. The other thing I learned that's nice is with that tape, is when I put the tape on it to match each one, and I pull it out and I put it in, I know that tape's gonna have to get to a certain point, and if it doesn't, it's not pushed in all the way. So, nice little benefit. I did use a little Star Sand as lubricant just to make sure they went all the way in. But that way I was safe. Okay, and as promised, I'm gonna measure everything. I'm gonna give you all the measurements. So here we go. This is based on an 8-tap kegerator. Keep that in mind. And it's based on these types of towers. So we have 35 3/4 inch width. We have 26 3/4 inch depth if you don't add the tank holder for your CO2. If you do add that, just add another 7 1/4 inches, which is gonna put you for a total width of 34 inches in depth. That's external. We have 35 1/4 inch tall, minus 1 1/4 if you decide not to put wheels on it and you leave the peg legs on. Not sure why, but the wheels are very nice. Then we have 39 inch tall with the bar. We have 51 inch tall with the towers. I did not measure with this, but you can add another 3 inches if you're keeping these. You can get smaller tap handles, you can get much bigger tap handles. I'm thinking height is not as important as width and depth. Air hose. The air hose that came with it, I had a total of 162 inches. Not sure where they come up with that, but it's 162 inches. I'm gonna have to chop it all up and use it in all kinds of ways. Plus I have spare if I need it, not a big deal. That is the 8mm with a 5mm inside diameter. Then as far as liquid, I had 138 inches of liquid hose, EVA barrier, 8mm external, 4mm internal. And as you saw, I just basically cut it into quarters and rocked on. So inside depth, and this is from the very back to the very front of the edge. This is 21.5 inches. Inside door, yes, inside the door has another 1/2 inch of depth. So you have that ability to go a little further. If you're measuring from the base on the bottom where the kegs can slide, you have exactly 21 inches from front to back. You come over where the compressor is, that's half of the kegerator where the compressor is, and you only have 17.5. Technically it's 17 7/16. So it's a hair less than a half over on this side where the compressor is located. So hopefully all those measurements are what you needed. If you need additional measurements, let me know. Yeah, it's a lot of measuring. Okay, so here's what I did. Essentially, this is gonna go inside, go back, go to the regulator or inline regulator from Duotight that then goes to the main regulator. And then I have two being split out with a T connector. That way I don't have to have 8 going back here or a bunch of T's and trying to run 8 cables. I'm gonna tell you right now, the back openings, you have 2 of them. And I bought some, like I told you, it's almost like a thick foam, but it's a type of plumber's putty. It's really the best comparison. It's a type of plumber's putty and it's white. And I was gonna use it to fill the hole, but now I'm not so sure because once I get 4 of these in there, it's gonna be full. So if you really wanted to run 8 hoses from outside in, or you wanted to run 8 inline regulators and run in, you could only get 4 in each of these holes. Yeah, I don't think you could get 5 even if you tried. You could get 4 in each side. So the other option, of course, is a lot of people will run just straight from the regulator, go in, and then have a bunch of T connectors in the back and come off of that. And that way you have 1 T coming off and each one you split off of it and it just keeps going until you get to the end and then you have a little L bracket. So yeah, that's the only way to do it. I did put a little bit of a type of foam insulation in the top of these and it seems to be working. It's ice cold, but it's not sweating. I don't see any moisture, so that's a good fix. Need to play around with these two taps. Like I said, they are not the same as the rest. That one there is an ultra flow twist control, and then the other one is just an ultra flow without flow control. So let me get this done. As promised, the Duotight setup. I have a coil in this part of the hose. Reason being, I can take the regulator off of the CO2 tank, set it up on top of the kegerator when I have to replace the tank. As you can see, the hose coming down here, don't waste your time with the soft hose. If you're gonna be connecting a bunch of these, get the rigid. It's just so much easier. I have 18 pieces of rigid in here. I ordered 30 just to be safe. I have my 15, 15, 15, 30 PSI and 15. This, I would have put more of these little off-on switches, but it is a nightmare to turn on and off, probably by design. I have a check valve here. I would have done more of those. They're a little more expensive. L brackets, T connectors going all the way up. The problem is they come together really tight, which causes the regulators that have a little more separation to kind of do a fan effect, but that's all fine. This fiberboard is definitely not gonna last. I'm gonna have to go to wood. The screws are just, they get loose when I tug and pull at things, but it's not a big deal. I do have another inline check valve over here for whenever I'm using the CO2 to help purge bottles, whenever I'm bottle filling off of the kegs. And that's just for safety because I have a tap cooler, and tap cooler seems to let air and even liquid sometimes go back, so that'll keep that from happening. The reason I put L brackets on all of these is I didn't want the hoses to come out and kind of twist, because if they're pulled or tugged on, they'll leak. So instead, I have these little L brackets so that it's very mild curves, nothing big. This is that plumber's putty type stuff. I've shoved it up in there. It's kind of soft and foamy, and you just work it and shove it wherever you want, and then it'll dry. And it seals everything up really, really nice. And you can remove it if you need to take things apart and clean them or adjust them, which I really like that a lot. I know it probably doesn't look as beautiful as something clean and whatever, but it's sealed, so I'm good. But yeah, it's working beautifully. And it looks beautiful. Peeled the plastic off. Let's pour a pint. This is my vanilla rooibos. I've been corrected on the pronunciation from someone from South Africa. International pale lager, a little frothy. It's a little warm, that's fine. The beer's cold, it's just not ice cold. It's perfect for drinking, not a problem. Got a little drip going on, that's pretty standard with some of these. They seal up nice, but occasionally get 1 or 2 drips off of them. But yeah. I don't have any moisture up here. I'm good. Yeah. I'm gonna say cheers. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. If you have any questions I didn't answer about the kegerator, let me know. I will tell you, compared to my Keezer, which is one of the big reasons I like it, or thought I'd like it, I still like it, but just not for the same reasons, is I don't have to lift 54-pound kegs when they're full and lower them in and pull them out and do stuff like that. I felt it would be easier from the front. It is a little easier. The problem I'm seeing is the hoses are a little bit more of a pain to reach around and figure out where they are versus mine where I could reach over the top. The other thing I see is I'm either gonna have to come up with a numbering system, put little numbers on top, or I'm gonna have to change the taps because I'm not gonna know which is which. The color coding works nice when I open it up and look inside and go, okay, this is yellow, and then I hook it up. That's not a big deal for behind the scenes when you're setting it up before friends come over to enjoy it, but when your friends come over and you got 8 different beers on tap, you either need a TV to tell them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or you need different types of taps. Something, maybe the tap handles that you see out there where you have the names on them, or you can dry erase. I do have some that I've made myself. I don't know how they look here. They look really good on my Keezer. They get in my way because of having to lean over the top. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy. There are a lot of customizations you can do as you've seen the other type of tower system. I think that would be a little harder to work on, to be honest, unless you have an 8-year-old's arms or tiny arms. But these are plastic. I can rinse them out, wash them off, not a big deal. Yeah, overall, extremely happy. Cheers. Thank you again.